Hi, this is Simon from Lot 76 Cars and welcome to the Festival of the Unexceptional. And look at that, an Alfa Romeo Arna. When's the last time you saw one of those guys? That's a beauty, isn't it? That lovely, lovely light green metallic. And we've got the hubnut car, the Ford Falcon AU. What an absolutely fantastic car. Great to see it made it all the way here from Wales. A nice late Orion, 89 on an F, looks like probably an L model. An MG ZT Tour, a ZTT to be precise. Oh, you're not going to see many of these. This is as unexceptional as it comes. It's a Talbot Solara. No, it's not. It's a Talbot Alpine. Get my facts right. Solara was the saloon version. Oh, this is a beauty. A Daihatsu Applause. I've never seen one of these. Never mind recently. E28 M5. That's a rare and very desirable car. A Fiesta Mark II facelift, or is it a Mark III? I'm not quite sure. I had one like that, looks like a basic spec. What's it, a Popular Plus? Oh, it is, it's a 1.1 Popular Plus. Very nice MR2. MR2 standing for midship runabout two-seater. These are becoming very collectible, these Audi A2s. This is probably the very, very economical 1.4 TDI. And Alpha 145, probably the Cloverleaf looking at the wheels. It's a beauty anyway, isn't it? What a beauty that is. Now this is definitely not a Lada, but obviously it did spawn the Lada when Fiat sold the rights. It's a Fiat, I believe it's a Fiat 124. Iconic Peugeot 205, followed by a relatively rare Renault 5 based van. I'm struggling, I can't remember what these were called, but put that in the comments if you know. Fantastic. Alpha Sud, always lovely to see these cars. Absolute beauty this one, isn't it? It looks like a Cloverleaf one. It's a right hand drive car, so it really is a survivor. E46 Touring. And I recognise this next car from the NEC last year. I think this is a one family owned car, father and son owned Fiat from new, a very unusual colour and an absolute beauty. Reliant Scimitar, and just behind that a Rover R8. They were good looking cars, those Rover R8s, weren't they? And we forget what great sellers they were, what a great fleet car particularly they were. Now I think I recognise this next car. There can't be too many of these about, I don't think. It's Marcon Motorin's Renault Mcgann, fantastic. Michelotti style Triumph 2000. A glorious, glorious Mark I Cortina pre-airflow. God, that's gorgeous, isn't it, in that green? Or a Lancia Dedra. I think I'm reliably informed from a previous video it was built on the 155 platform. Oh, and a Seat Ibiza. Is that the only one that's on the road? There can't be many. Wow, I'll have to look at that one later. And here's your choice of Mondeos. We've got the facelifted car first of all. That's 2 litre 16 valve. And this is a very, very early car, K-plated. Press cars I think were K-plated and early test cars. They're about the oldest you're going to see I think, and it's a 16 valve and it looks like it's a GLX. Lovely. So we've got a close-up on this Lancia 1600 Prisma, a symbol model that we saw coming in, and then I'm reliably told this 88 Seat Ibiza is indeed the only GL model left on the road. It did share some parts in common with some contemporary Fiats. The system Porsche engine is unique to the car. The early Mondeo we saw before, Toyota Supra, which is good, and the later K10 Micra bubble shape. Now this looks like a Japanese import. I think it's a Toyota Corolla based one, just looking at the shape. lovely Porsche 924, the original one, which is derided a bit because it supposedly has the VW LT van engine. Well, I don't think that's quite true in its entirety, but it does make them pretty economic to repair compared with the 944s, and a very nice MGB. And here we've got a K10 Micra. That's a stunning car, had a lot of money spent on it in terms of paint. The owner's got a lot of original parts. It's got that beautiful checked interior. What a lovely car. Now, you're not going to see many of these Daihatsu Fellow Max GLs. I kid you not. It looks like a Japanese import. It's an absolutely tiny, tiny little thing, isn't it? Now I'm going to have to dig out my Vauxhall Mark II Cavalier brochure to remember what colour this is. It looks like a GL because it's got the chrome rings around it. These were great to drive. I drove these back in the day, and certainly they were a lot peppier than the equivalent Sierras, as I remember. This car followed me into the show, and it's a beautiful and very rare Astra Mark I GTE. I know these are particularly rare and valuable, but they're still, irrespective of the value, they're lovely cars, aren't they? Getting there in terms of desirability is this Focus Z-Tech. It's a later one, it's a facelifted car, but these are going to get there, I think. Certainly they certainly drive well. First of the A4 Audis after the Audi 80. Now you may recall this from a recent video from last week, because it was also at Brooklands. It's made the trip further north to Lincolnshire, this Punto. Relatively low numbers of these built by Bertoni off the production line, not built by Fiat directly. Originally a DAF design and then taken over by Volvo. This is a later incarnation, a facelifted car, a Volvo 343. I think probably by this time it's called 340. The 343 or 345 was 3 or 5 doors. In Nordic green, a rare colour and a rare enough car. From a time when GM still owned Vauxhall, and in fact the commercial division of Vauxhall was Bedford, a brand that had been running for many years. This is a Bedford Astra van, and one of the so-called bread van Polos. I think these didn't have a brake servo. I remember driving one once and scaring myself silly when I couldn't stop it. You're not going to see too many of these Nissan 100 NXs. At the time this was launched, the ownership of the import rights was changing from Octave Botner to Nissan GB, and there was some argumentation still going over pricing. This car really didn't get the launch position it should have done. And this is the Marcon Motorin's Mcgann Fiji. This beautiful yellow one. Check out Marcon Motorin's channel. He's got the story of how he took this back to the factory in Zaventem in Belgium. Well worth checking that one out. And this is the Renault 21 Savannah. Now I do remember these. This looks like to be a facelifted car. There was so much room in these. If you just check that out, it's got a massive massive load area, and in fact, hopefully you can see here, maybe better from this angle, it's got a third row of seats. And quite an unusual colour, this Vectra. It's an early one, end-plated. I'm not sure what the colour's called. Put that in the comments if you know it. I'd love to know. But certainly it's unusual, that purple. A brand that no longer exists, certainly in the UK and Europe, is this Daihatsu Kore. Beautiful car and very tiny car, perfect for traffic. A very nice Citroen XM. That's a lovely car. That's in great condition, that one. It's looks like it's turbo diesel. Next to it we've got a Volvo 345, lovely green Volvo 345. W, so that'd be probably what, 8081. Peugeot 106, and just hiding behind that, a lovely little Panda. I'm not sure the year on that one. That's an early E46 BMW, and a beautiful Peugeot 205. I love that silvery blue metallic, and fresh, having had a machine polish and a wash, because I did it yesterday, is my Mercedes 190e, which has made the trip here today as well. Next to it we've got a Proton. Now, although not an absolutely mint example, it's a two-owner car from new, bought back by one of the guys at the garage that sold this to an old lady. When she passed on, the car was offered back to him and he took it on board. It's been sort of over-serviced and over-maintained during the years. and the guy's going to keep it the way it is because it's very usable and very mechanically sound. Great philosophy. Great that this Toyota Camry has made the trip all the way from Ireland. That's lovely to see it. So this Citroen Saxo Furio, I'm not sure whether it's VTR or VTS based, has survived. It survived all the modifications crowd, the max power days, and it's here today. Lovely to see it. Beautiful colour. No longer sadly a brand that's imported into the UK is this Mitsubishi Shogun. These really were one of the 4x4s to have back in the day. Now, don't mistake this for anything else. It's not a Fiesta. It looks like a Fiesta. I believe it was built in the Dagenham plant, but it's a Mazda 121 under the joint ownership of Ford's ownership, I should say, of Mazda, or part ownership of Mazda. This was one of the products that gave Mazda a small car back in the mid to late 90s. One of the first real sport SUVs, I guess you'd call it, and they really did handle well with these RAV4s. This is a later 5-door version. Now, you're not going to see many of these today. This Mitsubishi, I'm not sure if this is Colt. I'm scratching my head on this one. I'll probably remember when I've walked past it, but it looks like an official UK car. I can see it appears to be registered via a dealer in Wales, 78, 79. You're not going to find many more like this, and you're not going to find too many Mazda 323 wagons, or estates, whatever you want to call them. Officially imported into the UK by Toyota is this Toyota Tercel. So it was an estate, but its party trick was it's actually a 4-wheel drive estate car. All the way from New Zealand. It's a Ford Falcon AU, and this belongs to Mr. Hubnut himself, Ian. So lovely to see that. Next to it, oh, this is gorgeous. We saw this coming in earlier. It's let's try and take a closer look at this Nissan Laurel. I think it may well be badged both Nissan and Datsun. I'm not quite sure. Let's take a look. It's a rare beast anyway. What's it, an 86? And it's actually badged Nissan. It's a Laurel 2.4 SGL. Find another one. And here's a Toyota V12 Century imported from Japan. Presidents and business leaders would be the guys who'd have the opportunity to have one of these, and it's even got a lovely set of curtains in the back. So we've got an Astra Mark Ii Carabic Blue from 1995. Now these are particularly rare. The Mark 1s are pretty rare now. The Mark 2s, you're not seeing so many, so certainly these Mark 3s are getting that way as well. Lovely colour, this Carabic Blue, isn't it? And this is the Fiat 125S that was from 1970, and it was imported from Malta. So no wonder it's survived very well. I'm sure it's had a bit of fettling, but it's survived extremely well. What a lovely car. Now these are a rare car. I might even have a brochure for one of these, sad as I am. It's a Talbot Samba convertible. Now Talbot Sambas are pretty rare, but Talbot Samba convertibles, wow, they're pretty thin on the ground. Another convertible, Bertone convertible Astra Mark Ii. We've just seen the hatchback a bit earlier on. Very nice E30 BMW, an early car, and it's the 2-door coupe style with those nice wheels on there. What's that, 83? I think the first cars were Y, probably press cars. And in force a couple of Volvos, the 940s estates. A very nice Citroen AX. People obviously try and find the sporty versions of these, but it's still a relatively rare car. You can buy them and they're still quite accessible. They're not actually that expensive still. At one end of the Japanese range is the Nissan Sunny, a 3-door Sunny, which is the last time I think the Sunny name was used in the UK. And then we've got the MPV of MPVs, the Toyota Previa, a Lancia Thema 16 valve LE, sharing some parts with the contemporary Alphas, Fiat Chroma of the period. Renault 21, very nice. Just coming into the show is this Audi. I think that's an Audi 200 Avant, not 100. Yes, it's a 200. Purchased by the owner's dad back in 1987 for a pricely £21,000 is this Ford Granada Scorpio, top of the range. If you remember, this is the Granada that actually launched with standard ABS, which was a real revelation at the time. This shape of Ford Astra to me is one of the prettiest. It was really ahead of its time aerodynamically, and they were quick cars. Far rarer than the XR2 is this 1.4S. You're not going to see too many of these around. You're certainly going to be dwarfed by the number of Fiesta XR2s. Quite an unusual car. And a Chrysler Neon, a brand that's pretty much gone from the UK now, part of the Stellantis group globally. Midship runabout 2, as I mentioned, Toyota. And another brand that's disappeared, one-time part owners of Lotus, is Proton. Alpha 75, unusual looks on this car. You can see that kinked up line that goes around the car, the moulding. A transaxle design. I think the gearbox was over the rear wheels, gave them great handling. To the casual viewer, this would look like a Panda, but obviously look at the frontal styling. It is in fact a Seat, and it's a Seat Marbella. So these are relatively thin on the ground. Seat certainly wasn't the brand it is today when this was launched in the UK. The Mazda 323, this is just after the time when it lost the pop-up lights of the earlier version, which is such a shame. A lovely Opel Monza Gsc, sold originally in the UK as Opels and also in earlier versions as a Vauxhall Royale. Now this is truly a rare car. It's a Mazda 929 2000 Estate. I can't honestly say I've ever seen one of these. If you're after unicorns, mark this down on your unicorn spotting card, because you're not going to see many more. After the takeover of the assets of the former Chrysler business by Talbot, you probably would have seen this as a Chrysler Alpine in hatchback form. This in actual fact is a Talbot Solera Rapier, so I believe Rapier was one of the models used towards the end of run out, I think so. Now I'm pretty sure I recognise this Escort Mistral. I think it's one that was one of the cars featured on Jeff Buys Cars channel. I'm pretty sure that's the car, but in actual fact it's for sale again now. I think it's relatively low mileage, probably needs a little bit of bodywork, but if you're after an Escort of this generation, you know where to come. Lovely Citroen GSA. That's a lovely colour, that green, isn't it? Reminds me of the Hubnut one, which I think is black, and next to it a Citroen Bx Meteor Special Edition. Again, these are becoming rare. Plastic component, plastic parts, plastic bonnet and plastic boot, but can still rust on the doors, but this one survived very well. Now, I've often seen the Dacia version of this, but I've not actually seen a genuine Renault right-hand drive Renault 12. Again, another rare beast and a bit of a unicorn, I guess. So forgive me this indulgence, another Mercedes 190 like my own, but this one's a German car. Just looking at the emission sticker in the window and the fact it's obviously left-hand drive, it's a beautiful colour. It's a late car because it's a K, and I think the car was phased out with the LE version and they were on L plates, but lovely colour. And this is the Audi that certainly made a big impact. I think it was after the B4 Square Audis. This Audi 80, it's a really nice looking car. It was a big step forward for them, galvanised body in a number of places. I'm a fan of these Pininfarina designed Alpha 164s, and this one's lovely. Very nice Nissan Sunny. Next to a bit of brown, it's a Morris Ital. Ital were the styling house that were brought in to restyle the Marina, and this is what they came up with to try and give the car a few more years of life. And this looks like it's a 1980 car. A later Audi 80 facelifted car next to a Suzuki Cappuccino. These were officially imported into the UK in relatively small numbers. Now you're not going to get much more unusual than a Peugeot 309, originally a Matra design. I think this was due to be sold under Simca's brand. I could be wrong on that one, but ultimately was actually sold as a Peugeot. This left-hand drive 205 is the more unusual 5-door version. The 3-door was sold with an XS, I think with a 1.4 engine. This is the 5-door GT. And this is the Ford Puma, and I think it's the Thunder Special Edition. Looking at the wheels, these are starting to get a bit more interesting as classic vehicles. They do have some rust issues if you're looking to buy one, but they do handle particularly well, and they're modern enough to use, I guess, on a daily basis. And it looks like it's a 1980 Nissan Laurel. Wow. This former Car of the Year winner, yes, Car of the Year winner, is a Talbot Horizon, a 1983 car. I can't recall seeing one. I think I may have seen it on the Twin Cam channel. I've got to show you that interior, because if you want velour, you've absolutely come to the right place. It's quite rightly won a number of awards, and this is truly a unicorn. A brown Talbot Horizon. Oh, and it's a 5-speed as well. What a bonus. I think the Skoda Felicia took over from the Favorite. I got that wrong in a video some time ago, and I've never lived that one down, but it's definitely a Skoda Felicia. I've looked and I checked. Next to it, an unusual Mcgann, because it's a saloon Mcgann classic, so rare enough cars anyway. Very nice manual E34 BMW, becoming a rare sight, particularly as a manual car. Making an entrance, this is Hyundai Stella, but it's not just any Stella. I believe this is one with a Rover V8 engine fitted. Certainly doesn't sound like anything else, does it? Citroen Bx GTI. So here's the retro repmobile area. No self-respecting rep would be going anywhere without his shirt hanging in the back window of one of these. So Primera, I think this is the P10. This really was a game changer for Nissan. Didn't get the acclaim it deserved, but really you could drive the door handles off those. The Sapphire, still sticking with rear wheel drive. This is a later car, it's a Ghia, very good specification, but becoming a little bit old by that stage. We've got the later facelift Cavalier, I guess very close to the launch of the Vectra. And oh, this is a left field choice, isn't it? A Mitsubishi Galant. Wow, that's unusual to see one of those cars here, isn't it? In actual fact, the owner tells me this one's got 7,000 miles from new, and it's been, I think, found in storage or in a garage somewhere. It's certainly been looked after, hasn't it? Let's just try and take a quick look inside. He's invited me to have a look. Let's just take a look inside. It's a long time since I've been in a Cavalier. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's even got the period telephone, remember those guys? It's absolutely immaculate, and that soft dash. So this is the engine bay of this 1800, and it is truly, as I've just been told, the paintwork's original. The guy that bought the car part exchanged another Cavalier, but when he got it home, his wife hit the roof, and I think maybe too embarrassed to use the car, he put the car into a garage, and that's where it remained for many years, having only clocked up 7,000 miles, as I mentioned earlier. What an absolutely stunning car. Criticised when it was launched in '82, the jelly mold shape, and this looks like an original car because it's got those dustbin lid so-called wheel trims. Is this very early Sierra, which took over from the Cortina. Then we've got a pre-facelift. We've just seen a facelift Cavalier. We've got the pre-facelift Mark III from memory. A very unusual car here is a Renault Safran, a real left field choice, maybe not a rep car, but a senior manager car. And another Citroen XM, but this time the huge, I think these were called Familiale. I'm not sure if they kept that name, but certainly this is the estate version. Here we've got a very early Toyota Corolla, although it's dated 74, might be a bit earlier than that one, I think, possibly. And a turquoise Datsun 120Y. These were fabulously equipped when they're new. Not so many survived the rust. Very nice 82, 83 Nissan Sunny. Delightful colour, that, isn't it? Made by Matra for Renault. Great piece on the Hubnut channel about one of these. A bit more history on that, but this is a very early Mark I Renault Espace, plastic bodied, and huge amount of space and really ahead of its time. About as beige as they come. A Ford Orion L spec, I think. Here's a Nissan 200 SX. I had exactly the specification. I had a 99 as a company car with that same light leather interior. I had a manual, and they could be a bit of a handful in the wet with 200 brake horsepower rear wheel drive. Not many survived, and they're highly priced. A proud survivor of the scrappage scheme is another Nissan Sunny 50th anniversary one. And next to it we've got a Ford Probe, the US built vehicle that sort of succeeded the Capri in Europe. A very distinctive Mercedes W124. Now this is a late one, the sort of 92, 93 cars. And next, quite an unusual looking Nissan or Datsun pickup. Now this is an Audi. I think this is the B4 Audi derivative. You don't see too many of those. Certainly before Audi was the brand it really is today. Now, do you remember the Citroen Zx? It was famed at the launch, even by Jeremy Clarkson, as having absolutely fantastic handling. The sporty derivative was the Volcan, and this was the turbo diesel Volcan version. And it's, again, like many of the cars here today, it's rare to see one of these. And then you see another ZX Volcan. I think this might be the petrol, and I'm not sure. I think this one's from the Not Too Grand channel. In fact, it is. Just look at the sticker on the door. So great to see that car. It was restored from a bit of a wreck. So here's a W201 Mercedes 190. This one's a 2.6 litre car. So the 6-cylinder engine, I think with about 160 or 180 brake horsepower. Not sure. This one's like most of them. It's an automatic. And I think it's in naughty blue. It's a lovely colour, and it's got the gully decal wheels. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. Now this is badge Talbot, but in actual fact it looks like a Simca van, so maybe it's a late one because it's right-hand drive, so probably a UK vehicle, or 82, 83. So badge Talbot, but I think probably the Simca would recognise it as. Now I particularly like these E39 BMWs. I love that wheel design. My father had a BMW just like that when he had the Touring, with that sort of sundial type wheel design, and these are exceptionally good value for classics at the moment, or future classics. Pretty much Vauxhall's last big car in this segment before it was abandoned was this Vauxhall Amiga. I would say, whilst it's ordinary, it's particularly extraordinary. Looking at the colour, that's a lovely 75 Cortina Mark III Coke bottle, a late one, just on the cusp of the fourth Mark IV car. Now you're not going to see too many of these Vauxhall Frontieras, I don't think. Isuzu, I think it was an Isuzu vehicle rebadged as Vauxhall, or maybe Opel in some markets. And parked dead centre is this Volvo 940 hearse. I think this is probably an 86 Carina 2 GL Executive, which makes a big deal out of the fact it's got an electric sunroof. Using the 105 horsepower 16 valve XR3 engine is this very unusual Escort SI Estate. And next to it, what's here? Mitsubishi Sapporo. Again, this is a right-hand drive car. It may well be a UK car, this one. Certainly an unusual car back in the day, and even more so now. A couple of lovely Citroen Bx's, a 16 TRS automatic from 86, and next to it, relatively rare GT. Successor to the Volvo 340 was this 440 Dutch built again. This is a later facelift car, so it's probably going to be, what, 95, I guess, an N. Next to a late Volvo 240 Estate. I think this was ran on as the Classic alongside the 740 Estate, I think. Closely related to the Renault 9 is the Renault 11. The 9 was a saloon. The 11, like this one, is a hatchback. This looks like quite a well-equipped high-spec model as well. A couple of really rare French executive cars here. Peugeot 604. I've seldom seen another one. And that's absolutely lovely. What a huge car it is. And next to it, what do we find? But I guess competing with it is the Renault, I think this is a 30, looking at the front light treatment. There was the 20 and the 30, basically same shell but different engine derivatives and different front light treatment as well. Sticking with the French theme is this Citroen Visa Special. You're going to seldom find any of these today. It's a long time since I've seen them. The van version, the C15, lived on a while, but this is a really rare car. Sitting just under the XR2i in the Mark III Fiesta range is this 1.6S. Everybody's seen the XR2i's, but the S, which sat just below it in the range, is a mild sporty model. Is actually relatively rare, and this one's been maintained in superb condition. Fantastic to see people making the trip from abroad, from the Netherlands here. This Dutch Maestro. And this Mark I Espace, which I think is hand painted. I'm pretty sure this was on the Hubnut channel relatively recently. If we look next door to that, we can also see, oh, an Alpha 33. This was a successor to the Alpha Sud, which had a number of updates. This one's in pretty good order, and you can see that kinked up line in the rear of the car gives it that unusual styling. And the successor to the Volvo 850, this is the first generation V70 when they facelifted it. This looks like to be a 2.5 litre 10 valve car. Very nice MX3. Not sure if this is the V6 model or not, but certainly pretty rare cars today. When Saab turbos were really the ones to have in the pre-GM days, this is a Saab Turbo 3-door coupe. What a lovely car. And here's Richard Hammond's Opel Kadett A, fondly called Oliver, and now residing at the Smallish Cog. And last year's winner at the event is this Proton Black Knight, a rare special edition car. So guys, we're going to step into the main ring and we're going to see what delights are in here with the best of the best. So let's take a look what we can see first of all. Fantastic Escort, and this one's badged as a Harry. I'm not sure whether that was a dealer special edition or not. Oh, a Simca 1501. It's getting busy here guys, so apologies for the noise and the people around here. It's a popular event today. Fantastic Peugeot 104 as well. That's a pretty little car, isn't it? And it's a right-hand drive car, so it's really survivor. A Suzuki SJ410 Jimny, and next to it, just behind these people, is an early Celica GT. And what we've got there, we've got a booted Nova, a Nova Saloon, a Nova Trip. Fantastic condition that car is. And then finally we've got an ADO 16, an Austin ADO 16, lovely turquoise colour. A superb Nightfire red Rover 214 R8, and I don't see too many of these about, a Daihatsu Charade. I think that's probably a 91, 92. Next to it, a very, very clean Astra Merit, and oh, a Reliant Regal. Wow, predated the Robin and could be driven on a motorcycle license. And then we've got a Toyota Tercel, another one. I believe this one came in from abroad at some time in the past, I'm pretty sure. And a stunning 1980 Morris Marina. So this System Porsche engine should be a big clue as to the fact we're looking at a 1990 Seat B, the second one I've seen at the show. These are super rare cars. The rumour was that I think it was Giugiaro offered the design to VW, and the design originally was for the Mark II Golf. In actual fact, they went a different direction, and Seat took the design. It's a really clean design, wheels pushed out to the corner, very distinctive, very good looking car in my opinion, and again just handfuls of them left, so great condition and rare. A facelift 82-83 Fiesta Mark I and a 1984 Alfa Giulietta. Again, these were pretty cars back in the day, sold around the same time as a larger alternative to an Alfa Sud. And this is a Skoda Fabiat, so-called Blackline Special Edition. and my god, it's in superb condition. Let's have a look at that engine. Wow. A minty fresh 205. Oh, that is minty fresh, still with the dealer stickers in there. But it looks like they're going to start using this brand again in Russia, and it's a Moskvich 2140. Hopefully they'll look a bit more modern than this one, but it's in lovely condition. And this looks like a Dutch registered Mini Clubman. Oh wow, that is in fantastic condition, isn't it? So you can hear the judges just having the spiel from the owner about this Maestro. Hoping he's going to get good marks. Taking a closer look at this one. Basic Volkswagen Golf Mark II. I think it's probably a CL, that one. It's in nice condition. Now I think this was the booted version of the Tipo. It's the Fiat Tempra. Again, this vehicle's come a long way. This one's actually, look at the registration plate. It's registered in Germany. We're represented here as well. The Brits are represented with this Princess, Harrisman design Princess, the earlier car without the hatch, and a lovely, lovely, lovely Astra Mark I. That's a smashing looking little car, isn't it? It's difficult to believe that the car that invented the MPV segment is now here also. It's a Renault Mcgann Scenic. Is it that long since they launched these? Well, yes, it is. That's also looking like a classic. An Escort Mark III gear. And next to it is a very well prepared Skoda Estelle on a D plate. So I guess that would be what, an 86? Oh, that is in really good order. We'll try and take a closer look at that one. And the engine is just as clean as the rest of the car. Now if you're looking for beige, you've found it. This is a very early-ish, I think the car was launched in W plate, Mark I Metro. It's got the recessed headlamps, which I think is a lower specification vehicle. It's in good condition, as all of the cars are in the concourse ring. Now before Hyundai were the force they are today, this is the Lantra Fiat Panda Italia 90 edition. Remember Italia 90? How did we do in that one? That's another Fiat Tempra, I think. And next to it we've got a very nice Clio Oasis, Fiesta Mark III. But this is a bit more basic than some of the cars we saw. And we've got the Rover SD3, which is the cooperation with Honda. Next to it we've got the Astra Mark II. Now this is the one I like. This is a really aerodynamic design. This is a later facelift car with a different grille rather than the egg crate front grille. And next to it we've got a stunning Rover Metro van. That's in very good condition for a van, isn't it? Citroen Bx Estate. I think these were built by Heuliez, built separately to the normal BX. Quite unusual in actual fact. And this is a 1985 Nissan Cherry, and there's a car I just haven't seen anywhere, any show. This is a Peugeot 504. Now my dad had one of these. He had the diesel version of this. Not particularly the fastest from 0 to 60. Those plastic seats burnt my legs, but still quite a distinctive car, and many of these still running around certain parts of the world. And a very nice Hillman Avenger 1500 from 1971. Registered and sold by R. Roodhouse, the Fiat dealer in Doncaster, is this Fiat Superstrada. A pretty rare car in any event, but this one is brown and even rarer, and it's a cabriolet. This was sold by Rover towards the end. In fact, it's a Tata Indicia, which was rebadged and sold as the City Rover in the UK. Not many left, not many sold. I'm particularly fond of Peugeot 406s, having run a couple of 405s. I ran a 406 as a company car many years ago. Mine was a P. This one looks to be an early car, it's an N. Significantly more refined than the 405. Really was a good handling car, and only the arrival of the Mondeo really knocked it off its post as really as a class leader. And here's a very yellow Micra K11 Special Edition. What's this, an equation or something like this? Oh no, hang on, it's an inspiration, literally. And still badged as a Datsun, this Datsun Cherry Coupe. I really like this car. It's certainly Datsuns that we don't see the brand anymore. The Datsun brand's gone. I particularly like these rear windows. A couple of very nice Rovers, a 2600, and then next to it, I think that's may well be, it is a Vitesse. It says on the side of it quite clearly. A Mark I Fiesta XR2. These are rare. Mark IIs are more common now. And then probably a South African import, this one. In fact, it is, just looking at the plate that's in the window that the owners kept. It's a pickup, or a bucky, I think, as they call them in South Africa. So this Mark III Cavalier CDI is for sale. The owner wants £3,500. This was top of the range back in the day. And it's difficult to believe that certainly a volume car like this actually had a waiting list, I remember, at launch. Incredible. This one survived really well, hasn't it? Before Kia were the force to be reckoned with that they are now, some of their early products were based on other manufacturers' products, and this one I believe was based on a Mazda 121, and this is a Kia Pride. Looking like a 70s bathroom suite is this beautiful S-plated Rover SD1, and you're certainly not going to see too many Honda Aero decks. I know one of the other YouTube channels, Grand Thrift Auto's, got one of these, but they're pretty rare cars today. I do like those pop-up lights at the front, maybe if I ask nicely. Now I think these were the 2-litre models of the CX. There was a CX Reflex and the CX Athena, which was the next model up. And this is the CX Athena. What a great car these were to travel in as a child. You've got that revolving dial instrument panel. Only that could be a Citroen, and that single spoke steering wheel. What a lovely car that is. Top of the tree in the Vauxhall executive range was the Vauxhall Senator, and relied on by police forces all over the UK. And this one's a lovely green example from, I think, 89 or 90. So thanks again for joining me at the Festival of the Unexceptional 2022. What an absolutely fantastic event. Some great cars here today. Some superb ordinary cars that many of us haven't seen for years. So please like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.